Running back is the most important position in fantasy football. If you hit on your running backs, you can survive mistakes everywhere else. If you miss on your running backs, your season is usually over before it starts. That's why today we're giving you guys the top 24 running back rankings for the 2026 season.
All right, number one overall running back for this season, we have Jahmyr Gibbs. And Jahmyr Gibbs' first three seasons, he played 15, 17, and 17 games. And he was actually the only player last year to average 20 plus points per game and under 75% snap share. He actually only had a 67% snap share. Now there's no Montgomery this year. And he only had 38.5% of the carries inside of the 5 yard line last season, which I expect to go up as Pacheco, who's a way worse player than Montgomery, he actually lost the goal line role to a washed up Kareem Hunt last year. And now Dan Campbell has already said Gibbs is going to be the workhorse for this offense. And actually, in games without David Montgomery, Gibbs averaged 27.4 points per game, which is an absurd amount. And the Lions actually have the easiest strength of schedule for this upcoming year, and their O-line did improve from last season. All right, our number two overall running back, we have Bijan Robinson.
The best part about Bijan Robinson now is Tyler Algier is gone. Algier played 48% of snaps inside the five for the Falcons. So the hope is Bijan gets more goal line work. Yeah, they did add Brian Robinson, but I don't expect him to play a Tyler Algier role. Tyler Algier was good at what he did. But Bijan played 75% of snaps last season. The only problem is quarterback play. Tua and Penix, it's not the best situation. Tua loves to check down, but we know Bijan had 79 catches last year and over 800 yards last year, and A-Chain had 60 catches. So the hope is Bijan Robinson gets a lot more of the goal line work and more touchdowns for us in fantasy. That's the only thing Bijan's really lacking is that touchdown upside because the offense isn't the best, and these touchdowns were capped by Algier. So if Bijan can get in the end zone a lot more, he's going to be great.
Yeah, that was my like tiebreaker between Gibbs and Montgomery. Is this Gibbs or not between Gibbs and Bijan? Is that Gibbs has scored a lot more touchdowns. Like last year he had 18, the year before he had 20, and
Yeah.
He didn't really do it last year. I think Bijan only had 8 rushing last year, or somewhere in that range. So that was my tiebreaker between the two.
Gibbs has
Yeah,
been a touchdown machine, and
Hmm.
Bijan that's Bijan's only lack, but we expect it to go up.
yeah, similar to you, Hunter. I've been flip-flopping on Gibbs and Bijan, and just the question marks around Bijan is really like tilting me towards Gibbs now, especially now with what you said before with Campbell telling him he has the workhorse role. So, you know,
I mean, my opinion is not changing. I still have Bijan ranked over Gibbs because I truly believe the touchdowns are going to be through the
Will
roof for him.
come. Yeah.
mm,
All right. Starting off our A tier, our number three overall running back, we have Ashton Genty here.
so Genty Raiders in general had a really rough season last season, as we know, but now with new head coach Clint Kubiak, who I'm a huge fan of. New quarterbacks. We got Mendoza and Cousins, who I feel like are both definitely an upgrade from last year. And now, especially, and also we got Tyler Linderbaum, a Raider now, which definitely helps the whole situation for the Raiders. And we are very high on Genty. We have him as our RB3, which is pretty higher than others. So
Yeah, and
And
the Raiders offense should improve this year. And Genty, who
mm,
only had 10 carries inside of the 5 yard line last year, I definitely think that's going to uptick this season with Mendoza or even Kirk. Whoever's starting at quarterback, it's a massive upgrade compared to what they had last year.
and the Linderbaum signing was absolutely massive. We've
and
seen what he did with Baltimore. He was one of the best run blocking and pass protecting centers in all of football, which is a huge loss for the Ravens and for the Raiders to get him and now put him up with the great offensive mind in Kubiak. The hope is Genty puts together a great season, and that's why we have him rated so high. I mean,
yeah, especially with Mendoza. I mean, we know he's very great in the RPO game, so that'll help the whole
but
offense.
we don't expect Mendoza to start week one. I'm fully
Yeah,
expecting
I
Kirk.
think it will be Kirk.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
All right,
yeah.
number four overall running back to continue tier A, we have Christian McCaffrey, and I think he's definitely the biggest risk out of these high tier running backs. As we know, he's not had that many two healthy seasons in a row, so it's definitely a major risk here. He's coming off a monster season with 24 and a half points a game, and he had over 400 touches, which is not a good thing for success in the season after. We've seen Saquon, he dropped off, Jacobs, he dropped off after leading the league in touches, so. They did draft a running back, which doesn't really worry me, but CMC, his yards per carry really did drop last year. It was only 3.9, and it was only four in the 3 games he played before in 2024. So I do think it is a very risky pick, but if he stays healthy, he's gonna put up a bunch of points for you.
Yeah, what you're saying, I mean, but if CMC plays all 17 games, he's a lock to finish RB1. A
Yeah.
lock. The question is health. I mean, he's been very, he wasn't very efficient on the ground last year, like you said, 3.9 yards per carry. But they made an emphasis to give him the ball all the time. You know you're going to get the volume with him. It's just, is he going to be on the field? Regardless of the inefficient rushing, he's still going to be the best receiving back in the league, easily, hands down.
I really wouldn't fault anyone to take him at the number one overall pick. I really wouldn't. Just what we've seen before. He's the best player in fantasy, but
Mm-hmm.
that health, man.
He's got to be healthy.
Yep, that's it.
All right. Coming in at number 5, we have Jonathan Taylor.
From weeks 1 through 13, Taylor averaged 25.7 points per game. Insane. But weeks 14 through 18, he averaged 14. 11-point drop off, which is pretty bad. That's bad. But 14 still got the job done. It wasn't pretty, but he got the job done. But those weeks were all without Daniel Jones after he tore his Achilles. So it's possible you're getting him a great value with Jones, likely to be on the field week 1, but it's also possible that Jones looks terrible and doesn't look anywhere near it did from weeks 1 through 13. But if JT performs like he did weeks 1 through 13, you're hitting on this pick. If not, it could also be bad. But he had a career year in receiving, in yards, targets, and receptions. If this stay the same, it could help him and could really return on value. We could make him even higher than 5 in our rankings as the season goes on.
And I think his receiving could even improve more because of the Jones injury, because I think he's probably going to run less now. I mean, an Achilles is a big injury, especially for a quarterback. You know, we've seen guys like Rodgers and Kirk Cousins, they've came back from the Achilles and they just didn't look like the same player. So
Yeah.
it'd definitely be more of a check down season for Jones compared to where he was running previously.
That first year, they always come back is always the hardest. It seems like they lose less velocity on their passes. That's what I saw with Rodgers and Cousins that year in Atlanta. But hopefully he can defy these odds and put together a solid season because he was on pace to throw for over 4,000 yards last year. He was better. He was about to have his best passing season as a pro. Unfortunately, it then ended early with injury.
I think if you can get Jonathan Taylor late in that first round, it could be an automatic steal. I actually have JT as third in my personal rankings, and just with Jones coming back week 1, hopefully, which it looks like it's going to be the case. I really don't see him becoming that crazy of a different player. Because let's say he averaged 25.7 points per game, it drops down a little bit to 20 points per game. Drafting that late in the first round is just a crazy return on investment over there. So I'm very high on Jonathan Taylor
But there's still
myself.
risk involved. That's why I'm not the highest on him.
Yeah,
But
sure.
I like him at 5.
Mhm.
I don't know about Jones.
I think there's more risk in JT than CMC. I think there's more risk in CMC than Jonathan Taylor, in my opinion, for sure.
I
But
just I just think CMC, why I have CMC just higher is because I do think his ceiling is higher. I know JT did average 25 points per game, but he didn't finish well. It
yeah.
shouldn't really matter who the quarterback is. And I just think with CMC, you have that receiving safe floor that he's always going to have.
And yet Shanahan, he knows what he's doing back there. He puts him in all these certain sets, he schemes him open like I've never seen before.
All right. Our next player at RB6, we have James Cook.
So James Cook, I was a victim of thinking of the touchdown regression was coming this year, but I was slapped in the face. It was definitely not the case. James Cook was the most outstanding player on the Bills offense, besides Allen, of course. But he finished as the RB. He finished as the top 5 running back last year. He had a 55% snap share, which is the highest in his career. The Bills have DJ Moore now, which I think is just going to only help the offense. The offense is still going to be great. It's going to be a run-heavy Joe Brady offense. And I feel like there's not really much risk in a James Cook late first, early second round pick.
I just don't think why I have Cook behind these guys. I just don't think Cook can be the RB1 just because Allen's there and he's always taking goal line carries and he hasn't really been used as a receiving back too much. I know he's actually a really good one, but they've really like Ty Johnson on third downs,
Yeah.
which his ceiling is a little bit lower than these guys ahead of him.
They split it up with the two backs.
Yeah.
James Cook led the league in rushing yards last year.
Mm-hmm.
The offense is completely the same. The situation stays the exact same. It's a safe pick.
All right. Coming at number 7, we have Saquon Barkley. And after a lackluster 2025 season for really this whole Eagles team, really, I do expect the Eagles to go back to what worked in 2024, and that was running the ball. They were more towards league average in 2025 compared to 2024. They were obviously at the top of the league. They were winning a lot. So, and especially now with AJ Brown being a Patriot, I do expect a big bounce back, and I really do think this Eagles offense is going to run through him again.
My only problem with the Eagles is, yes, the play calling was bad last year, but the offensive line has to be healthy. And if the offensive line stays healthy, I expect Saquon to be the running back 7, or if not even higher. Just the health of the offensive line, and hopefully Sean Mannion calling plays is a better than Kevin Patullo, which shouldn't be hard to do.
It can't really get worse than what Patullo was doing last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
But unless this completely falls on Jalen Hurts' shoulders, but scratch that. We hope that Jalen Hurts has a great season, and we hope that Saquon Barkley puts together a solid fantasy season for us.
I'm high in Saquon, super high in Saquon, but I feel like a lot of people are just forgetting about his injury history. He doesn't have those soft tissue injuries, which you have to really, like worry about. But I mean, you still got that little risk with Saquon always. But I feel like this year is going to be more of a focus on Saquon, like we saw in 2024. So I mean,
can't draft scared.
Yep.
Yeah, that is true. I'm a victim of that. I do draft scared.
All right, coming in at our RB8, we have Omarion Hampton in his sophomore season.
I'm so excited for this guy, man. You don't understand. I'm ready. I'm excited for him. He had a great year last year, but his injuries cut him. It cut him short. He averaged 15.3 points per game. And now Mike McDaniels, who we're raving about on this channel, we expect this offense to be a track meet, like we saw in Miami. We expect a huge jump in year 2 as he helped 31-year-old Raheem Mostert score 21 touchdowns in 2023. And a rookie, Devon Achane, averaged 8 yards per carry and scored 11 touchdowns. I'm pumped for him. But Keaton Mitchell is a guy that McDaniels likes. He likes his speed. He'll play a decent amount, but what running back room doesn't split carries nowadays? Hampton is going to be the running back 1 in this offense, and he's just going to be so good, man. I can't wait for this guy.
Yeah, we've been stating this. We're really big fans of this offense, and we really do think it's going to be one of the top ones in the league this year. I am really a big fan of Hampton. I drafted him last year, as you guys know, but I really do think he really is a stud. If he gets him going, he's kind of like Henry. He really doesn't have the agility like the other guys do, but if you get him going in a straight line, he's gone.
Yep.
You can't get him.
Like,
I need a piece of that offense, man.
Before he hurt his ankle, he was on. He was going to finish top 6 running backs in all fantasy.
All right, coming in at number 9, finishing the A tier. We have probably a hot take here, but Devon Achane at number 9.
I will put him in B.
Yeah, this is definitely one of our hottest takes.
Put him in B.
He's starting off our B tier. All right, you can go, Rob.
All right.
Start it off.
Hey, this is definitely one of our hottest takes as a group, but we don't really like Devon Achane this year, as you can tell. We know he had a crazy year last year, 20 points per game, but that offense was just. I wouldn't say it was really good, but it's definitely better than what it's going to be next year. Malik Willis coming in his limited sample size in his 2.5 games last year. He only completed 4 passes to his running backs. I really don't like to see him at all. I said it in a previous video. Are the Dolphins going to score touchdowns? Are they really? I don't think they're going to score that many, which hurts his upside.
I'm going to stop you here. Are the Dolphins going to score touchdowns? And how many receptions is Achane going to get with Malik Willis back there?
He's a running quarterback. Yeah.
Yep.
He's a running quarterback.
Because Tua was one of the he might have run one of the least in the entire league last season.
And McDaniels had so many set up running back plays.
They love the V screens, dude.
Yeah.
Achane would feast on those.
Mm-hmm.
And now without McDaniel, definitely not going to be the same.
Achane was their best offensive player. That's the only plays that McDaniels really had to run. He ran the offense through Achane.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised in a couple of months we have Achane lower than what he is right now. So keep that in mind.
Yep.
All right. At number 10, we got the exception, Derrick Henry. And, he's now age 32, age 33, Henry. He's now 32. And the risk is the wheels have to fall off eventually, right? I don't think they will.
Nope, they ain't falling off. No way.
Last year in 2025, he had over 1,500 rushing yards. That was even with Lamar being out for half the season now. Imagine with Lamar, at his only season when a fully healthy Lamar, he had over 1,800. Now, the only bad thing is that they lost Linderbaum and they lost Pat Ricard, which are big losses for that run scheme. And, they do have a new OC now with the Bears old OC from last year coming in.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, with Lamar there, that rushing offense is always going to be elite. And, I think it's a great spot for Henry. He's going later than he has been these last 2 years.
Yeah,
John,
he's a steal. He's a complete steal. I mean, I'm interested to see how Declan Doyle calls an offense, as he didn't call plays with Chicago. But I mean, you got Lamar, you got Henry, you got Flowers. This should be a great offense yet again, and Henry should score a lot of touchdowns. Get the ball in Henry's hands. Get the big fella moving. Give him carries. Let him run. He'll run right through the defense. He'll get you 15 touchdowns. I'm calling it right now. He'll get you 15 touchdowns and 1,600 rushing yards. Derrick Henry, get him an A tier. But
John, I know you watched every single Ravens game last year.
every single game.
Just let them know how big of a really impact Pat Ricard was, and that
Yeah.
I feel like that loss is going to hurt a lot.
No, Pat Ricard, when he came back on the field, I think he came back week 9 or week 8. The impact he made, he just made the Ravens' run game 10 times better. He's like a fast O-lineman, and he's going to help the Giants and Scatterboo and their rushing offense a lot more because we know Harbaugh. Harbaugh has always been a ground and pound type coach, like to get the running game going, and he's going to be an impact player for the Giants, 100%.
Yep.
All right, coming in at our RB11, we got Kenneth Walker, the newly chief.
Yep. He's got not much competition anymore now. There's no more Zach Charbonnet eating touchdowns away. This is the first elite running back since Kareem Hunt years ago when Kareem Hunt averaged 20.93 points per game. I mean, he's got massive touchdown upside now. And he's split in the backfield with Brashard Smith and Amari Mercado, who's supposedly playing well in camp, but doesn't concern us at all. But our only concern with Kenneth Walker, can he play a full season? We've seen that the Seahawks always like to kind of split up his carries in a way to keep him on the field for 17 games. And we saw that ultimately help because he was so good in the playoff run. He got to play all 7. If he plays all 17 games, he's a lot higher than 17, than 11.
Yeah, you just got to bake in that injury risk kind of. And I also do think a big thing for this Chiefs offense is Eric Bieniemy is now back, and they really have not been an explosive offense over these last 3 years without him since 2023. And I really do think that can help them get back to where they were. And also, you have to think about Mahomes' injury. They're maybe going to try and become a more run-heavy team now. They signed K9. They gave him a pretty big contract. I do think this team might shift more to a run-heavier team than they have been usual.
No, I agree with that because their receivers aren't the best. I don't think that they're the best at all. At least
Yeah.
I don't think Worthy's that good. Hollywood Brown is now gone, and Tyquan Thornton is their 3.
Mm-hmm.
But the offensive line is always going to be elite with the Chiefs. They have probably a top 5 offensive line in football from what I think, at least.
All right, coming in at our RB12, we have Chase Brown.
Mr. Consistent.
Chase Brown. I traded this guy last year, I think right before week 7. Talk about that. I think week 7 on, he averaged over 21 points per game. And also a similar number, 14 game sample size from when he became RB1 years ago. He averages the same amount, 21, a little over 21 points per game with a healthy Joe Burrow. So I mean, we said it before with the Bengals offense. They need everyone healthy. When everyone's healthy, this is an elite offense. And this guy's got a high floor. He's going to catch passes. He's going to score touchdowns. You know what you're getting from Chase Brown. That's what we know about him. So we just need that health. We need health from Cincinnati because that'll help all us fantasy managers, be happy.
And they really have no one else in this backfield. Like they have a 30-year-old Samaje Perine and a young Taj Brooks, which wasn't really used at all last year. So there's no competition. So this should once again be Chase Brown's backfield, and you shouldn't be worried about him losing touches.
No competition and one of the best receiving backs. Mr. Consistent.
Yep.
All right. Coming in at third team, we have Jeremiah Love, the rookie. And Love was the 3rd pick in this year's draft. And since 2012, RBs taken with a top 10 pick in the draft have actually finished as an RB1 in their rookie season 85.7% of the time. So that's really high, and it's really good odds historically for him to finish as an RB1 this year. I know we have him ranked a little bit out. But the only issue is with him really that he was drafted to the Cardinals, who are underdogs in every single game this season. And you don't know their QB situation. I know there was a report saying Jacoby was coming back to OTAs this week, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
But
Yeah, this week he's coming back.
Yeah. But they did also sign Tyler Algier this free agency, and they still have James Conner and Trey Benson. I'm sure one of them will end up being cut if I had to take a guess. But
Hmm.
the good thing is Love is a great pass catching back in college at least, which should help him stay in the field in these games when they're going to most likely be down in probably all of them.
I mean, the hardest part is who do they cut? I don't think they cut anyone. It would have to be Trey Benson being the odd man out, but they took him in the second round 2 years ago. I can't see them cutting anyone. I love Jeremiah Love. I like him where he's at, but Tyler Algier, it just feels weird that they gave him money. They also brought back Connor, and why? I don't understand why you take a guy like this when you have three solid options behind him. Obviously, Love is the best option, but you're not. These guys are still going to be involved somewhere, either special teams. I saw Love working on punt or kick returns, some of that, but that doesn't concern me. I still think he's going to be one of the best receiving backs in the league, as we saw he was in college. So I think 13 is fine for him, but the situation is it's weird.
Yeah, there was a lot of shade on like Arizona Cardinals team as a whole, but last year they were not they were horrible last year, as we know. But that fantasy offense is better than you really would expect it would to
Yep.
be, especially with Jacoby now back. I mean, Jacoby he fed his guys. I know he's probably going to help more with McBride and Wilson and Harrison, but I still feel like those garbage time points matter.
It
And
helped being down so many
yeah,
games that
like they were down every game. Jacoby would chuck it
he
every
set
single
the
time.
record for most completed passes in a
Yeah,
game.
crazy. So and Love can catch those passes. So I feel like if you get Love in a great position, if you're getting him in late second, maybe even early third, I feel like that
Take
is
him.
going to be,
Mhm.
that'll
Great
definitely
value.
Click that button and
be
take him.
yeah, value. Hmm.
All right. And our RB4 team, we got Josh Jacobs finishing off the B tier.
I mean, the hope is we're assuming that he's not going to get suspended, but there's always a chance. But from weeks 1 through 16, before Jacobs got hurt in week 17, he averaged 16.8 points per game, which would have been good for RB7. But the running back room looks exactly the same. But they got rid of Emmanuel Wilson, who also, when Jacobs got hurt, took away a lot of touches from him. I wouldn't say take away because he physically couldn't do it. He was hurt with the PCL injuries. They lingered throughout the season. And the last 2 seasons, he's averaged 1,400 yards from scrimmage, and 303 touches and 14 touchdowns. Don't overthink it here. He's going to produce for you if when he's healthy and on the field. Hopefully, the NFL doesn't suspend him, and he's proven not guilty in his 5 charges.
Yeah, I
I mean, we know
really
how good this offense can be. The Packers. I mean, Jacobs is an elite player himself. So if he gets those touchdowns, stays healthy, and has no off the field issues,
He's been a touchdown machine.
yeah.
Mhm. All right, starting off our seats here at RB15, we have Brees Hall.
So Brees Hall, fantasy wise, this Jets offense definitely improved with Geno Smith under helm, and I have a feeling that this Jets offense will be similar to the Cardinals, where Geno's going to sling it, of course, and those garbage time points. I feel like Brees is going to score more touchdowns than some would expect. Geno checks down the ball much more than others. We saw last year Genti had 50 receptions with the Raiders, and a year prior, K9 in his split role had 40 receptions. So, I mean, we feel Brees is like the last comfortable guy we'd have at our running back one position. If you go receiver early, you can be somewhat comfortable with him as your running back one.
I agree with that. If I take 2 receivers, I wouldn't mind Brees Hall being my
Yeah,
running back.
no way, 100%.
Watch out for those Jets, though. They might be solid.
That team, their offense is low key there, dude. They have the skill
offense got a
position
lot better.
players.
Never know, never know.
If
They
Geno
signed a
has,
lot. They signed a lot of free agents on defense. Don't
Yeah.
compare it to the Cardinals last year. Don't do that.
Come on.
Watch out for those Jets.
if Geno has a resurgence, dude,
They're gonna get 7 wins.
this
They're a
offense could be
7-win
something
team.
good.
He's a gunslinger, man. Who we know?
He's gonna air it out. The offense is gonna look. It's gonna look solid.
Yeah. Coming in at our RB16, we have Javonte Williams. And Williams had a monster bounce back season after a lackluster 3 seasons with the Cardinals after he messed his knee up back in 2022. And he averaged 15.2 points per game finishing as the RB12 last year, which earned him a 3-year, $24 million extension. And in this high-powered offense, Javonte will score you a lot of goal line touchdowns. He scored 9 touchdowns inside of the 5-yard line last year. And with no new competition in Dallas at all for the running back position, Javonte, who played 68.8% of the snaps for the Cowboys last year, looks to do it again. I mean, you can say Jaden Blue in his year two could steal some third down work, but other than that, he didn't show anything really as a rookie.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's a great offense. Dak threw over 4,000 yards, and Javante ran for over 1,000 yards. It's easily a 5,000-yard offense.
Yeah,
Put it
and
all together. I want a running back in that offense all the time.
this offense really didn't change at all. So I mean, you know what you're getting. I think he's a safe running back in the running back 2 spot for sure. I would be very confident with Javonte in my RB2 position.
All right. Coming in at RB17, we got Travis Etienne Jr.
This guy's a little interesting, on my end at least. I mean, he had a bad 2024 season, but he bounced back in 2025. He averaged 14.9 points per game and finished as the RB14. New team now. He's a Saint. The Saints offense took off last year. They looked solid down the road. But Alvin Kamara was not a part of that offense. He was hurt, and he didn't look great at any point in the season last year. But the Saints offense under Kellen Moore ran 62.3 offensive plays per season last season. That's what Kellen Moore likes to do. But it'll be interesting if Alvin Kamara's on the team and getting reps. But right now, Alvin Kamara has not been to a practice yet. If he gets traded or cut, ETN can go higher. But right now, I feel like 17 is a neutral ranking for ETN. So we're going to have to see what Alvin Kamara does because Alvin Kamara is still getting paid a solid amount of money. And I believe they're still going to use him. The usage to be determined, but
yeah, I mean,
it's an interesting situation.
He's still Alvin Kamara, man. I mean, he was drafted in the 3rd round of fantasy drafts last year. Like his skill doesn't just disappear in a year. You know what I mean? So we're kind of low on ETN as a group, but he's still a great player. You know, what he did in Jacksonville last year. So if he gets that running back 1 position, and if Kamara somehow, well, not really somehow, but if he does get cut, he would definitely be a great running back 2.
It's just an interesting situation.
Yeah, it's different
throughout minicamp and training camp.
All right, our RB18, we got Kyren Williams.
Kyren Williams, we saw weeks 1 through 13 last year. He averaged over 15 points per game. And after that, Blake Corum kind of came in his role a little bit. And we heard now that there's going to be a 50-50 split between both Corum and Kyren. So that hurts him a little bit. But as we know, he's going to be the one in this offense and RB1 in this offense. And it's a great offense. I think this is the Rams are the best team in the NFL, in my opinion. I think it's pretty easily, too. They're going to be up games. They're going to be scoring a lot. He's going to get those touchdowns like he always does. So,
yeah, my only thing with Kyren is when he was at his best, he played 100% of snaps. With the 50-50 split with Corum, I don't know. That's why we have him so low. When Kyren at his best, he was a top 6 running back in fantasy, playing 100% of snaps. I mean, Kyron's still going to be – he's going to be a solid player, but
yeah,
he's not going to be like he once was, so lower your expectations.
Just a little questionable, you know, but I again, with these last 3 guys, Javonte, Etienne, and Kyren, I'd be comfortable 100% with him as my running back 2. These are these high-end running back 2s that you have to, like, be very grateful with.
You got to split them up drive for drive. So that's probably what you're going to see in the 50-50 split. Like Kyren will definitely start the game, but then maybe drive 2, drive 3, you'll see more Blake Corum in. So it's something to watch as the season goes on. Maybe he could shoot up our rankings as the season goes on, but
it just hurts
right now. He'll be 18.
Fantasy-wise, just having 2 great running backs, you know, it's great for the team. The reason why they're such a good team, but fantasy-wise and for us, it's a question mark.
They're looking to make a deep playoff run.
Yep.
And with the 2 healthy running backs, that it's going to help you out.
All right, starting off our D tier, we have the new Texan, David Montgomery. And with him now being a Texan, he will see his touches rise as he's finally the RB1 for the first time since, I mean, I guess you could say last year because he did start games in 2024, but his touches will rise, but his efficiency will definitely drop as he's not playing behind one of the best He's not playing in one of the best offenses and behind one of the best O-lines in the league anymore. The
Mhm.
Lions in 2025, their O-line ranked 16th last year compared to the Texans at 24th. And the Lions, it was pretty mid, but still the years before, back in 2023 and 2024, it was top five for sure. And the Lions offense was fifth in points per game last year compared to the Texans 18th in points per game. But if Montgomery can be a three down workhorse like some reports said he could be, we've seen Joe Mixon back in 2024 with the Texans average 16 and a half points per game and finished as an RB9 back in 2024.
I'm just ready to see his usage. It's going to be interesting to watch if he's a 3 down running back because there's not many. I don't think the competition behind him is that great. Woody Marks
He's nothing
didn't look
special.
good last year. Didn't. I don't see him as a threat to him. I mean, maybe they could use him on a couple third downs, but David Montgomery will definitely get the early down work. But I think there's a great chance he gets the third down work as well. And can, like you said, he's similar to Joe Mixon was 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, I said this last video with when we were talking about Nico Collins. I feel like this offense as a whole I'm not going to say it's going to be better, but it literally has to be better. They're a playoff team. They're going to be a playoff team next year. I mean, I think, but I'm a huge guy. I'm very high on David Montgomery. I think he's going to score the most of the touchdowns on this team with their new and improved offense. So,
And
This
Montgomery,
offense has to help out this defense.
yeah.
mhm. Yeah, that defense is way too good to be on the field 24/7.
And Montgomery, he is an underrated pass catcher. Back in his Chicago days, he was a great pass catcher there, and he wasn't really utilized in Detroit much because obviously it gives their receiving back, but he really is underrated in that aspect of his game.
I think he
If I'm not
finished as
mistaken,
like RB4.
RB4.
One of those.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
RB4.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
I'd say the same
Crazy.
thing.
Coming in at our RB20, we got Cam Scatabo.
Scottaboo was good up until he hurt his ankle last season. He averaged 16 points per game, which would have put him on pace to finish as RB9. And before those weeks, he wasn't even the starter. Tyrone Tracy was the starter at the beginning of the season, and Scottaboo slowly worked his way up, and averaging 16 points is a lot more impressive than it really was. So as the season went on, he would have finished higher than RB9 if he was fully healthy, the way I think so. I think Scottaboo has the talent to be a consistent top 10 fantasy running back in this league, but we got to see him after the ankle injury. Consistency. We need consistency. But with the new coaching staff, with Harbaugh and Nagy, they talk in the offseason how much they want to run the ball. Now with Neighbors, who we expect to start on PUP, and I think it's more likely than not to happen. I think he could start on PUP, and which could give Scattaboo a higher floor and ceiling as well. So I expect Scattaboo to be a solid running back. It's just is he going to fully recover from that gruesome ankle injury he had last season?
And you know how crazy he really is. He can get a head injury here and there. He's a
Mhm.
little
He
he's got a
battles
couple
through.
screws loose for sure. But that's my only concern with Scotabo, and
Health.
this Giants offense should be better and improved. So
Yeah, you got Dart in year two, and even Scatabo was also a pretty solid receiving back last year too. He had a
yeah, it
couple
was
Yeah,
games
he caught
with
the
over
ball.
six
He was
receptions.
good.
He was really good in that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
All right, coming in at RB21, we got another rookie. We got Jadarian Price of the Seattle Seahawks.
Jerry Price. We are kind of, I would say, high on him. He was a first-round pick this year, 32nd overall to the Super Bowl winning Seahawks. We know how the Seahawks use their running backs, a little split, as we saw with Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet. But now with Zach Charbonnet out for the foreseeable future, ACL injuries usually take 9 months post-surgery. If you do the math, 9 months would be week 12, would be Charbonnet's estimated return. So there's also a stat with first round running backs. About 80% of first round running backs finish either a top 24 running back or better. So I mean, we are super high on Jadarian Price, and would definitely not be surprised if he is in that low end RB1 category, high end two. So if you can get this guy in the fourth, fifth rounds, when you have two elite receivers, I feel like that is just phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm going to add one thing about Price. He got his surgery late, February 20th, but he's supposedly ahead of schedule.
Are you talking
Total.
about Charbonnet? You mean Charbonnet?
I'm talking about
Yeah,
Charbonnet.
yeah.
Charbonnet is ahead of schedule
Mhm.
at the moment. So The hope is he comes back week 12, but potentially we can see it happen earlier. But
Fantasy
well,
wise, we do not want to see that committee. We know how good
Yeah.
Charbonnet can really
nah,
be, but
we want
that
Price to
would
be on that field,
yeah. So
100%.
yeah,
He's the
I
Kenneth Walker
definitely
replacement.
I pray for
Exactly.
the dude. I hope he definitely gets better quick as possible. But us fantasy managers, we want to be head on
Rest up.
straight.
You're good.
Yeah, we're
Rest
good
up.
over
Take your
here.
take your time, Charbonnet.
We
Take your
don't
time.
like our committees.
And until Charbonnet comes back, I mean, they're only backup options. There's really no competition in that backfield. They have George
Emmanuel Wilson was
Solani.
solid.
I mean,
He
yeah,
was
he's
solid.
solid, but I don't think he'll take significant. I don't think he
Yeah,
should
Nah.
take significant
No
touches
way.
away from
we
Price.
saw what Price did last year. Even backing up Jeremiah Love, he's just because you saw the talent,
He's great.
how
But
really elite he
I gotta
was.
add one more thing about Price. He didn't catch the ball much in college
Mhm.
at all. So I don't count on him to be a 3-down back. A consistent 3-down back is what I'm going to say.
But I mean, we also forgot this Seahawks team is elite. 14 wins last year. They're going to score a lot. They're going to be up in those games with that elite defense and touchdowns. That's all it is.
That defense is going to keep him in a lot of games.
Yep.
All right. Our running back 22, we got Bucky Irving. And, Bucky Irving, he's been dealing with that offseason shoulder
Yep.
surgery. He's finally returned June 11th to OTAs in a limited capacity. And after a great start last year, he actually started out really well with weeks 1 to 4, averaging 18 points per game. He suffered an injury that actually kept him out until week 13, which after that injury, he averaged only 11 points per game and only had 2 touchdowns in that span. And now the Buccaneers signed Kenneth Gainwell in the offseason, who had over 70 catches last year for the Steelers. And they still have Sean Tucker, who seemed to take the goal line role away at the end of last season from Bucky. And I mean, I already talked about the offseason surgery, which is not good. But he's back now, compared to where there were reports that Bowles was saying he might not come back till sometime in training camp or in the fall, is what he said in quotations.
Yeah. It's just very weird. It's very weird the way they're talking about his injury. I mean, I saw him back on the practice field today, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But Kenneth Gainwell, I wouldn't be shocked if he takes a lot of work away. He was probably one of the better RB2s in all of football last year. And he was a big receiving option for Aaron Rodgers. I think he led the Steelers. He had the most receptions on the Steelers last season.
Yep.
I think he did.
Yep.
And the Steelers didn't sign him back, and he probably went to Tampa thinking he would get an increased role. So I think Kenneth Gainwell can take a lot more away from Bucky Irving than people are expecting. But Bucky Irving, from what we saw his rookie season, he's one of the most explosive running backs that year. It's just, can he stay healthy? Like a lot of the other guys in this tier, it's all about health. Can he stay healthy? And can he score touchdowns? That's it. That's what you need out of RB2. Health, touchdowns, and a consistent floor. Can we get that from Bucky? I hope so. There was a couple of games where we saw he would get no catches and just run for about 60 yards and score his 6 points. That was terrible, especially when people were waiting around 10 to 11 weeks for Bucky Irving to come back that season. He was a complete disappointment for them, and he ultimately hurt a lot of fantasy teams that traded for him while he was hurt during the season.
Yeah, Bucky. As we talked about, all these really low end RB2s. It's a bunch of shaky situations. We know how good Bucky Irving is as a player, but it's another shaky situation. So
it's early now, and we'll get more information as minicamp and training camp progress. So right now, this is where we're ranking him. Hopefully, he can go higher on this tier list. But right now, it's a perfect ranking for him in the D tier.
All right. Our RB23, we got DeAndre Swift.
Swift at his best season of his career, finishing RB15 and averaging 14 points per game. He's always had a safe floor, and he has never finished outside of the top 24 running backs since being in the league. And now the Bears are under second season with Ben Johnson, and the offense can only get better from here. Monongai will obviously play a role, as from week 7 through 18, he completely split the backfield with a 45.8% snap share. I think Monongai will play a lot more, but Swift is still the better player. Swift is going to start. We know that. Swift can catch the ball. He had a decent amount of touchdowns, but Monongai, he will get some early down work. He'll get some running between the tackles, and he's one of the safer running backs you can pick in this round. but the upside is a little capped. I would say his upside's capped, but I don't mind him in this D tier. Solid, safe running back too.
The main thing I hear in that is he's never finished below top 24, which is just great. And you're drafting him at right now. He's our RB 23, so there's really no risk. I mean, you're not going to get anything worse. You can only be better or the same. So
Yeah,
Safe.
one
Yep.
thing that does suck though is that you would have to take if you want his handcuff and Monangai, you would have to take him decently high and probably around that
yeah,
the eighth,
Yeah.
ninth round, which would suck. But he's been pretty healthy throughout his career, other than really in his Detroit days. He was pretty injury prone, but ever since being in Chicago and with Philly, he's been pretty healthy since then.
yeah.
I like the point you brought up. You'd have to, in a way, reach on his
Yeah.
handcuff.
That's the thing about
Or you don't
handcuffs.
want to. You don't have to.
I know a lot of people live and die with their handcuffs, but my fantasy league members know that I am not one to take my handcuffs. I feel like it limits your upside in those late rounds to get those, I guess, steals, those late good wide receivers and running backs that can take over that one position. I feel like Monunga is the kind of guy he's really just going to stay in that mid category. I mean, he's a good handcuff, obviously, but he doesn't have that upside.
I would disagree with that. If you take your handcuff, you have to. If your handcuff falls to you, you have to take your handcuff
Yeah.
because you
I'm not
cannot
reaching. I'm not
replace
reaching
production
around or
on the
over to get
waiver
my
wire.
handcuff. Like
What?
if he gets hurt, I have a better option on my bench with more upside. That's who I think. I know I'm very different. I
So the
also do
week
not have
Swift
much
missed.
success in my fantasy league, as some
I'm
members
just gonna
may
make this
know.
up. We're gonna end it here. The week Swift missed. Uh,
Monangai, he had a monster game.
Yeah, I couldn't get the name
Yeah.
off out of my head. Monungai went off. He went completely off by you missing out on Monungai that week and not putting him in your lineup. You missed out on a ton of points. You're telling me someone on the bench can replace that production? No, they can't.
I don't know, but let's say you miss out on we're talking about not last year, 2 years ago. You reach on your handcuff and you miss out on a guy like when Brian Thomas Jr. and Ladd were in the 100 ADPs. That's terrible. You can't do that. That's my opinion, though. All right, let's get on to the next player. Talking too much about Swift.
All right. Our last and final RB here, we got Travion Henderson as our RB 24.
Ravion Henderson. So you two are much higher than me. I don't have him in my top 24. I definitely rather a guy like Pollard, but we'll talk about that in another video. Travion Henderson. He had a kind of surprisingly good season last year. He had 1,100 total yards, 10 touchdowns. But in the playoffs, we saw how he was just shadowed. He was not even in the offense at all. He had a 22% snap share in the playoffs. And he's not a good pass blocker. I feel like Steve is definitely the better option for the passing game. And, if he gets his pass blocking better, he's going to be on the field more. And the one good thing about him is his upside is just elite, So he's definitely a good flyer. I feel like I'm not confident with him as my RB2. If I was taking him as my flex or my RB3, that would be good for me. But yeah,
I'm just gonna say with Travion, 24, it's not bad. From where you took him last year, that's where he got so much hate. People were drafting him as high as the RB10 in fantasy leagues last season. Like you did, Hunter. You took him.
I drafted him. That was
extremely
my
early.
guy last year.
He was taken extremely early to a point where people were expecting him to produce way more than he should have. So at 24, like you said, he had over 1,100 total yards and 10 touchdowns. That's perfect for a top 24 running back. In year two, I mean, the hope is I think the Patriots offense is going to be way better, especially with AJ Brown coming in. It's going to open up the field a lot for the run game because they really didn't have many receivers outside of Diggs. So I think the offense overall gets better, and it's not really much of a risk as it was a season ago taking him as RB10. You're now getting him at RB24. So that's my take on him.
Yeah,
I'll say one more thing. My bad, Hunter. But the Patriots, they had the easiest schedule ever last year, literally ever. And the schedule this upcoming year is much harder. I think it's one of the hardest in the league. So I mean, I feel like that could definitely be it could impact him. So
yeah, I really do think if he really can just improve as a pass blocker, he will get on the field much more because he's a way better receiving back than Ramondre Stevenson, and that really was his number one thing coming out of college. He's such a great receiving back, and he was a great pass blocker coming out of college. And we've seen McDaniel use a bunch of guys like James White and Rex Burkhead in the past, like that he loves those smaller receiving type of backs. So I do think if Henderson can just get himself on the field on third downs, he will have a much better season PPR wise.
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hit that like button. Definitely subscribe. And let's go.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
Go.